Hello. If you saw my story yesterday, I kind of hinted that our Seton curriculum has come in. And I know when I was searching for curriculum, when I decided to try homeschooling, that I really wish I could see what came with it, what was inside some of the books, what do they look like, what was usual, some of the tips and tricks. So I've been trying to make sure that I do an unboxing whenever our curriculum comes in. So far, 2 of my children out of 3, their curriculum has come in, so I'm going to share with you the ones that I do have. And then when the 3rd one comes in, I think today, I'll try to make another video either today or tomorrow and share that too. So this one is the 7th grade curriculum for Seton Home Study. We are enrolled, so fully enrolled. So everything that I show you is kind of what comes normal, and then I'll let you know what I added or subtracted to customize it. All right, so I'm kind of looking at the packing slip to make sure I don't miss anything as I go. So the first book that they have for us is Art 7. It looks like this. Is kind of a thin one. What I'm learning through the years with Seton is it looks like most of their art courses, like 1 year, it's very heavy on the projects and the drawing and things like that. And then the next year, it's more of like what I would call an art survey. And so this 7th grade is going to be more of that art survey. You're reading about a painting, the artist, the time period, things like that. And it's just like 1 or 2 pages. I normally do art once a week with my kids, so usually Friday, because Fridays are usually our shorter days, less material. Maybe they took a test, so they don't have the assignment, and that goes faster, so we'll add in art on Fridays. So that's Art 7. Then next we have English 7. Now, I was able to look through this book last year, and it is very, very, very thorough. If you would like your children to know grammar very, very well by the time that they leave your homeschool, this is it. There is, they do start all the way at the beginning. There is review, and there's also diagramming, and the diagramming does get a good bit complicated. I'm trying to find one towards the end. I guess that's not too complicated. That's just part of it, though. That's just the compound predicate. Here we go. But I do notice that as my children have learned diagramming a little bit at a time each year with Seton, it's not hard for them to add on the new concept each year, and it really helps them to understand what each part of the sentence does and how it works and where it goes in the sentence. So that's our English book. For history, we have our Catholic Legacy, Volume 2. I love that it's color pictures. At the end of each chapter, there is a set of review questions. We use that as our study guide for the test. It's been a year since I've done one of these, so I'm not very well practiced. Lots of maps. And it does go to, let's see, what's the last topic it covers in here? Yeah, pretty, the war on terrorism, Afghanistan, so pretty relatively recent events in history. They also have a map scale. This one is by Seton Press. Really helps with the geography and the skills with maps, which comes up on the science ACT, even though it's not science. Even though these aren't science. Just learning to interpret what information is on a chart or a graph or a map. Okay, let's see. Music. We sing of our land. Now, I do not know how to read music, so a lot of times I will look these up on YouTube, and I think Seton is finally starting to have some of these on their website too, so you can play these also. PE doesn't have a text, but it has a lesson plan, so you can follow along their activities, or you can do your own PE. Like one of my daughters is in dancing and acro, and I count that as her PE. My son was doing something last year for Boy Scouts where he had to, do a certain number of sit-ups and push-ups and run a mile and all that, and I counted that as his PE also because he was working on that daily. Okay, reading. Reading has a lot of books, but you don't use them all at once, all at the same time. So, for example, reading comprehension. You're going to have a short passage, questions for the passage, of course, beautiful artwork that Seton is known for. And usually these are like 1 or 2 a week. And then usually most of the first 2 quarters is the comprehension, and then when you start to get to the 3rd and 4th quarter, they go to thinking skills. Now, I haven't looked at the 7th grade lesson plans for this year, so I don't remember exactly when it switches over, so don't quote me, but that's usually the trend that I'm seeing. And what I like about these is while there is reading comprehension, there's also logic, like one year there was actual logic puzzles in the book. This one looks like a lot of stories and questions so far. Oh, some poetry with lines. And then asking questions about the specific stanzas. I usually really like their thinking skills books from reading, so I'm curious to see how that one looks. Then your child gets to choose 2 novels for their first 2 quarter book reports, and then 2 Saint books for their last 2 book reports for the last 2 quarters. I think these are his Saint books, the ones he chose. And then I think these are the novels. And they're usually really well done. Like this one is a Newbery Medal Award. Some of them I know of. This one I haven't read yet, so sometimes I'll try to read it with them to kind of know what the storyline is in case they need help. And they're reading, let's see, book report handbook. Sorry, that's in a different stack. Let me see if I can find it. It's just so helpful to the kids. I mean, it takes them step by step. My kids are writing probably by 5th grade a 5-paragraph paper, and I think in 7th grade, 6th grade is the first year that they start writing a thesis. So very well prepared. Helps them step by step. That comes with reading also. Also, you have your readers. This one is a book of fortitude. And the lesson plans include comprehension questions to ask them to see if they understood what they were reading. This is another one. These are our freedoms. So far, my children have enjoyed the stories in here. Your comprehension tests, your reading comprehension tests usually come from one of these each quarter. All right, so that's it for reading. For religion, we have a religion book, Religion 7. Again, chapters followed by review questions, beautiful pictures to go with it. I didn't grab it because we already have it, so I didn't order it, but it goes along with the Baltimore Catechism. In 7th grade, they're using the Baltimore Catechism number 2. We used that one last year. They just kind of review it again. This year, maybe some more thorough questions. I also have this for 7th grade, Focus on Confirmation. Now, our diocese is in the process of changing to 8th grade confirmation from 11th grade. So he's going to get kind of like a little leg up because he won't make his confirmation till next year. But this is for us. They cover it in 7th grade religion. And then always one version of Bible history. It's usually read the passage, answer some questions, and they are tested on this at the end of each quarter. Then we have science. This is the 7th grade science book. Let's see, geology. I know there is an intro to chem in here. All these yellow pages that you're seeing are usually little experiments, activities. There's a periodic table. Okay. So again, the setup is very similar, where there's going to be review questions at the end of each chapter. Summary, and then questions for review. And then they're really good about outlines for each chapter. Now, this is not included with Seton's enrollment, but it was recommended. So I did order chemistry set, since he does have an intro to chemistry this year in science. So I'm curious to see how this works out. And if it goes well, I'll use it for my daughters also as they get into the higher grades. I'll see if it's reusable or if I'm gonna have to buy it every 7th grade year. Okay, so that was for science. For spelling, yes, we still have spelling. Now, my kids don't really need practice with their spelling at this point. By the time, like, my daughter's going to 5th grade, my son is going to 7th grade. However, Seton's spelling books, their first 2 or 3 pages of each lesson. Let's see. So, for example, the first one is sort by consonants. Okay. Take it or leave it. These 2 pages right here, I love these 2 pages. This is why I still have my kids in spelling, because this one is the definitions, and then this one is use it in a sentence. And so basically, in my opinion, we're practicing vocabulary, and these words are good vocabulary words to know the difference between. Okay. So I think it's worth it to keep them in spelling even in 7th grade, since it's offered and it has such a good activity those first 2 days. Or I guess that would be Tuesdays and Wednesdays work for the week. And then on Thursday you have this, a reading. Read the following story, paying attention to the underlying words. Some words derived from Latin through French and Old French for this particular page. And then they're learning about whatever they're reading to. So I still find it very worth it to keep my kids in the spelling class, even in the upper elementary and junior high years. Then we also have vocabulary. I do make my kids use the dictionary to look up their words. It's good practice for alphabetical order. So the first page is the words and reading with the words, and then the words, and you're supposed to define them. And it tells them if they want the verb, the adjective, the noun, which form. Then they have a page of multiple choice questions about which word you would choose, and then they choose 2 down here that are they similar or opposite. So not only do you have to pick out of the 4 words which ones are the closest or which ones are the furthest apart, and then decide if they're similar or opposite. And then here we have again using the words in sentences, and then a crossword puzzle. And then that's for each lesson. Now, vocabulary is not every week. It's usually 6 weeks out of every 9-week quarter. And then there is usually a quarter test at the end of each quarter. All right, this year, my son actually took 7th grade math last year as a 6th grader. So this year we're going into algebra 1/2 because we really liked the change to Saxon last year from Seton. Seton's very good. I like it up to about 4th grade. I did 5th grade with my son, but I think I'm gonna do Saxon with my daughter in 5th grade. I think that's where we're going to start transitioning over to Saxon from the Seton books. The Seton books end at 5th grade, I believe. So I like the hardcover textbooks, and then we can reuse them. So we have the Saxon Algebra 1/2 3rd edition, and then it comes with the solutions manual, which as a former math teacher I can figure out the answers, but this is just makes it so much faster for me to just check his work, and then we can work over the ones that he got wrong or had trouble with. Now they did offer for an added cost this extra Algebra 1/2 practice problems, so I did order it just in case we would need it. And I'm not going to let him write in here. I'm just going to keep it as a reference. That way, if any of the kids need it in the future, I can use it for them too. So that's it for our regular enrollment as far as like the workbooks for my child. Now also some neat things. Seton sends you this. Each kid gets a rosary, and I think this is a rosary book. Yes, children's rosary. Looks like it has the mysteries. It talks a little bit about the rosary at the beginning. So that's really nice. This comes for each child in case you want to write your lesson plans in this planner book. I used it my first year with Seton, but I actually have a different setup that I use for my lesson planning, but I think I'm going to use this for my son, like write out what I want him to do each day and then hand him this, because we're starting to transition to more of a you set up your schedule, you meet your assignments, I'll teach you as needed, I'll go over the areas you need help with, but there are some subjects he really doesn't need me to go over with him, like spelling and vocabulary. He can usually get started on that, complete it without my help. I check the answers, I discuss any issues he needs to go over, and any corrections, things like that. Math, I do teach the lesson. Science, I usually will teach the lesson. History, about 50-50. I usually review with him. He usually reads, answers questions, and then I do like a review with him before the test. So as he's transitioning to middle school this year, we're going to start giving a little more independence and monitored independence, and just make sure that he's on his task, but that way he has a little more control of his schedule. Okay, so one of the perks of enrolling with Seton is that you get all of the lesson plans, which is a wonderful help, worth it for me. So right here we have getting started with 7th grade. So that's just all the information about how Seton enrollment works. How do you send in the grades? Here's your attendance record, papers, your quarterly checklist of grades to send in, things like that. Then each subject has course manual, which is the lesson plans. And they've changed to these really pretty, colorful lesson plans. And you can check off, let's see, right here, as you're done with each one, or I check it off as I've written it in my lesson plan, and then the week we do the lessons, I check it off from my lesson plan. That's how I'll work it out. I might need to make a video on that, how I organize all of my teacher end of things. Here's the English 7 course manual. English also includes a lot of writing, which is not in the book, but it's in the lesson plans. So definitely want to get the lesson plans. So like right here, look for better or precise words in a thesaurus. So that would be a thesaurus. So that would be a writing tip right there that you would go over with some examples. Research assignment. Do some research on the Turtle, the first submarine built for the military, and write a 150-word paragraph on this topic. Finish the paragraph tomorrow. This might be a descriptive paragraph or a reasons paragraph of the importance of the turtle. So you have various writing assignments in here too that are not in your workbook textbook. This also includes towards the end, for the subjects that have it, the test. Let's see. This is the answer key for the book, so that I can check that what they're doing is correct as they're working through, and then the tests. Now, you can mail these in, but I just scan them with my phone and I upload them because it's just so much faster and the grading is done quickly. So, like I was showing you how pretty these are, this is what their lesson plans used to look like, which is still very good, just not as pretty. Okay, so this one is history, what to read, there's your answers, there's your tests. And at the beginning, it's not the lesson plans, it's not just read these pages, do this part in the map skills, it's also like look up a, you know, this person, this important topic, this war, this invention at the time. And so sometimes we'll just use the encyclopedias that we have at home, but a lot of times I like to go to the library and pull a few books on that, or sometimes if I can find videos or documentaries, they really like those too. Just kind of makes it a little less boring, being honest. All right, music 7, here's our lesson plans. I think it's more at the beginning. I think the end is for the grades. Yeah, here we go. So again, each day and you follow it. Check it off as it's done. Here's our PE lesson plans. Lots of different ideas and activities. Reading 7. This usually tells you, if I remember right, which pages to read. Has all the comprehension questions for whichever pages they have to read that day. The answer key with those answers to those comprehension questions. There's our answer keys, and there's answer keys, and then there's your test. Guess I should have opened these before. I thought they were all stapled like the first couple of sets. Seton does not sell their lesson plans separately, so you have to enroll to get these. All right, religion, again, which things you're reading from, because you're going to read a little bit from the religion, Bible history, and Baltimore Catechism, questions and answers. They even talk about the artwork in the book a lot. There's your answer keys and tests. This one is science. I like to look ahead, plan ahead for science, because you need to get the supplies for the different experiments, which I'm hoping that little chemistry set will help me with, have some of these already. So even your lesson plans sometimes have pictures that you're going to want to share with your kid. And I think at this point, Seton assumes that the kid in 7th grade is seeing some of the lesson plans, not just the mom or the dad. All right, here's our spelling. Oops. I'll grab it too. I was wondering why spelling was so thick. It's basically just the pages. And then you dictate the test. All the answers. All right, here's our vocabulary. This one has a quiz each week for the vocabulary words from that week, but remember it's only 6 out of the 9 weeks every quarter. And then you also have quarter tests. And then this one is the Saxon Algebra 1/2. It usually has the answer key, if I remember right. And the tests. It has selected answers, I guess because I have the solution manual for the rest of them. And then it has, you grade some of the tests, the math tests with Seton, and then some of them get sent off. So it'll have some of the test answers also included. That's everything that comes with the enrollment, except for a couple of supplements. There was also one thing that came up suggested for 7th grade, so I got this. This was for science. It was this little 3 set of books. so I'm guessing somewhere in the lesson plans it'll kind of suggest how to use this, or if not, I'll add it in here and there as needed. All right, check back for first grade, I think is the next one that I'm going to do.